My beloved child, before you allow your thoughts to wander anywhere else, listen carefully because something extraordinary is unfolding right now. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. There are moments in life that pass without anyone noticing, and then there are moments so quiet that only destiny recognizes them. This is one of those moments. Just a short while ago, your name was spoken where you least expected it. No announcement. No dramatic entrance. Just a simple conversation that suddenly became impossible to forget. The strange part is not that your name was mentioned. The strange part is what happened immediately afterward. Someone sitting there believed they already knew everything about you. They thought they understood your story. They thought they knew your heart. But the instant another voice began revealing what had remained hidden for so long, everything changed. Their expression changed. Their silence became heavier. Their thoughts started racing faster than they could control. They wanted to hide what they were feeling, but the truth had already escaped through their eyes. Don't skip because this is only the beginning. Stay till the end because something huge is waiting for you. The conversation did not begin with you. That is what makes this story so remarkable. It started with ordinary words about ordinary life. People were sharing memories, speaking about unexpected changes, reflecting on the paths that different lives had taken. Then, almost naturally, your name appeared in the middle of that conversation as if it had always been waiting for the perfect moment. Everything paused for just a heartbeat. Nobody planned that pause. Nobody expected it. Yet everyone felt it. One person tried to continue speaking as though nothing important had happened, but another could no longer pretend. They leaned forward. Their attention sharpened. Questions they had never dared to ask suddenly became impossible to ignore. They wanted to know more. They needed to know more. Because every sentence they heard challenged everything they had believed before. Don't skip. Every second matters now. Stay till the end because something huge is waiting for you. What they heard next was not a secret designed to impress anyone. It was something much deeper than that. They discovered that your quiet moments carried more strength than your loud victories. They learned that the kindness you offered when nobody was watching had reached people you never even realized were paying attention. They discovered that while many judged quickly, others had quietly admired your patience, your resilience, and your ability to keep moving forward even when circumstances were uncertain. Suddenly, the picture they had created about you no longer matched reality. It was incomplete. And once they realized that, they could not return to the version they believed before. For a long time, they assumed your silence meant distance. They assumed your calmness meant indifference. They assumed your restraint meant uncertainty. But now another voice gently explained the truth. Your silence had protected peace. Your calmness had protected hope. Your restraint had protected everyone from unnecessary pain. Those words settled into the room like sunlight entering through a window that had remained closed for years. Nobody argued. Nobody interrupted. Because deep inside, everyone knew those words felt true. Something changed inside that listener. It was not loud enough for others to notice immediately, but it was powerful enough to reshape every future decision they would make. They replayed countless memories in their mind. Conversations that once seemed ordinary suddenly carried completely different meaning. Moments they once ignored suddenly became unforgettable. They realized you had been communicating your heart in ways that required patience to understand. The truth had always been there. They simply had not been ready to recognize it until now. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Imagine discovering that someone you misunderstood was actually carrying exactly the qualities you had been searching for all along. Imagine realizing that every assumption had quietly hidden the most beautiful reality. That is exactly what happened. Every new detail became another missing piece returning to its rightful place. The more they listened, the quieter they became. Sometimes silence says more than endless conversations ever could. Another person sitting nearby smiled softly and said something almost nobody expected. They explained that people often underestimate those who choose humility instead of attention. They reminded everyone that genuine character reveals itself slowly, never demanding applause, never chasing recognition. The listener could no longer hide what they were feeling. Their eyes reflected surprise. Their heart reflected respect. Their mind reflected one simple realization. They had been wrong. That realization became impossible to escape. Every memory began rearranging itself. Every unanswered question suddenly carried an answer. Every uncertain feeling suddenly found direction. It was not because someone invented a beautiful story. It was because the truth finally arrived at exactly the right moment. Don't skip because the most meaningful part has not arrived yet. Stay till the end because something huge is waiting for you. While everyone else eventually moved to another topic, the listener remained mentally frozen in that single conversation. Long after the voices became quieter, they continued hearing your name echo inside their thoughts. They wondered why nobody had explained these things before. They wondered why they had allowed assumptions to become stronger than understanding. Most of all, they wondered whether there was still time to see you differently. That question followed them everywhere. It appeared during quiet mornings. It appeared during ordinary afternoons. It appeared in moments when the world seemed completely normal. Every familiar place reminded them of the conversation they could no longer forget. Every ordinary routine suddenly carried extraordinary meaning because now they knew there had always been more to your story than anyone realized. The remarkable part is that truth rarely forces itself into people's lives. It waits patiently until hearts become ready to receive it. That is exactly what happened here. Timing accomplished what explanations never could. One conversation succeeded where countless assumptions had failed. One honest perspective dissolved years of misunderstanding. One unexpected moment became impossible to erase. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Because the greatest surprise was still hidden beneath everything they had already learned. After sitting quietly for a long time, they whispered something almost nobody else heard. They admitted they wished they had understood sooner. Those simple words carried more honesty than anything spoken before. It was not regret alone. It was awakening. It was clarity arriving after a long season of confusion. It was the beginning of seeing someone exactly as they truly were instead of through incomplete expectations. And from that moment onward, your name no longer represented a mystery to them. It represented possibility. It represented respect. It represented a future they had never imagined until the truth quietly entered the room and refused to leave. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because what happened after this conversation would become even more unexpected than the conversation itself. The following morning felt ordinary to everyone else, but not to the person who had heard your name. They woke up carrying the conversation with them as though every word had quietly followed them into a brand new day. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. They tried to focus on familiar routines, but every task was interrupted by the same thought. Why had they never seen this side of you before? Why had nobody explained what had been hidden beneath your quiet presence? The more they searched through old memories, the more they realized that the truth had never been absent. It had simply been overlooked. Suddenly they remembered small moments that once seemed meaningless. A simple smile. A thoughtful gesture. A moment when you chose understanding instead of proving yourself right. Back then those moments passed unnoticed, but now every memory carried an entirely different meaning. It felt as though someone had handed them a key capable of unlocking every unanswered question they had ever carried about you. Don't skip, because every new realization brings them one step closer to something they can no longer ignore. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. As the hours passed, they found themselves wondering where you were at that exact moment. Not because of curiosity alone, but because their heart had become restless in a way they had never experienced before. They imagined what your day might look like. They imagined the quiet strength you continued showing without expecting recognition from anyone. They imagined the kindness you continued giving even when nobody noticed. Every thought made them realize how much they had underestimated your character. Then something unexpected happened. Another person who had been present during that unforgettable conversation reached out to them. The discussion continued. This time there were no distractions, no interruptions, only honesty. They began sharing more stories about you. Stories that had remained hidden simply because nobody had ever asked. They spoke about the encouragement you gave when someone felt discouraged. They remembered moments when you quietly helped others without asking for anything in return. They described how your patience had inspired people who never found the courage to tell you. Every sentence felt impossible to ignore. Every story erased another misunderstanding. Every truth replaced another assumption. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The listener became completely silent again. Not because there was nothing to say, but because there was too much to process. They realized something that changed everything. Sometimes the most extraordinary people are the ones who never try to convince the world that they are extraordinary. They simply continue being themselves until the right people finally notice. That realization settled deeply within them. They understood that your greatest qualities had never demanded attention. Instead, they quietly transformed lives one moment at a time. The Conversation eventually came to an end, but the journey inside their heart had only just begun. Throughout the rest of the day, they found themselves comparing every assumption they once believed with every truth they had now discovered. The difference was impossible to ignore. It felt like standing in front of two completely different stories about the same person. One story had been built on distance and misunderstanding. The other had been built on honesty, patience, compassion, and quiet courage. They finally understood which story had always been real. Don't skip because something even more meaningful is about to unfold. Stay till the end because something huge is waiting for you. That evening they paused in complete silence and whispered your name once again, but this time the sound carried warmth instead of uncertainty. There was respect in the way they spoke it. There was admiration in the way they remembered it. There was hope in the way they held on to it. For the first time they stopped asking whether the stories about you could be true. Instead they began asking themselves why they had taken so long to believe them. Sometimes the greatest change begins with a single honest question, and that question refused to leave their heart. Every answer they found only pointed back to you. They remembered opportunities they had missed because they believed incomplete information. They remembered moments when they could have understood you better if only they had listened with an open heart instead of relying on assumptions. Yet instead of allowing regret to consume them, another feeling slowly appeared. Determination. They quietly promised themselves that if another opportunity ever arrived, they would not waste it. They would pay attention. They would listen more carefully. They would choose understanding over assumption. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Meanwhile, something equally remarkable was happening beyond their awareness. The people who had spoken so positively about you continued doing the same even after the original conversation ended. Your name kept appearing naturally in different discussions, always connected with respect, honesty, kindness, and resilience. Without trying to build your reputation, they simply described the person they genuinely knew. Piece by piece, your story reached more hearts than you ever imagined. No grand announcement was needed. No dramatic effort was required. Truth has a remarkable way of traveling quietly while leaving lasting impressions wherever it goes. Every new conversation strengthened the realization that your impact had been much greater than anyone first believed. The listener eventually understood something unforgettable. They had not discovered a completely new version of you. They had finally discovered the version that had always existed. That thought stayed with them longer than anything else. It became impossible to forget because it answered questions they had carried for far too long. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. As night arrived once again, they looked toward the quiet sky and allowed themselves a gentle smile. They no longer felt confused. They no longer felt uncertain. Instead they felt grateful that your name had been spoken at exactly the right moment, because had that conversation happened earlier, they might not have understood it. Had it happened later, they might have missed the opportunity to see the truth completely. Perfect timing had accomplished what endless explanations never could. Deep inside they knew one undeniable fact. The moment your name entered that conversation, everything began changing, and nothing inside their heart would ever return to the way it had been before. The truth had finally been revealed, and once truth finds its voice, it never quietly disappears again. Instead, it continues opening doors that were once impossible to see, leading every honest heart toward a future built not on assumptions, but on genuine understanding, quiet respect, and the hope that the next chapter has only just begun. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because what they decide to do after embracing this truth will become the most unforgettable part of the entire story. What happened next surprised even the person who believed the conversation was already over, because the truth has a remarkable way of continuing long after the words themselves have faded. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. They tried to convince themselves that they should move on, that they should return to ordinary life, that they should stop thinking about your name, yet every attempt only brought them back to the very same moment when everything changed. It was as if destiny had quietly pressed pause on their heart until they understood what they had almost missed. Every hour that passed made one realization stronger than before. They had judged a story before reading every chapter. They had formed opinions before discovering the truth. They had believed distance was the answer when in reality understanding had been waiting patiently all along. As these thoughts continued growing, another unexpected conversation found its way into their life. This time nobody planned it. Nobody even realized how important it would become. Someone smiled gently and asked a simple question about you. That single question opened another door filled with memories that had never been shared before. They listened without interrupting. Every sentence carried honesty. Every memory revealed another piece of your character that had remained hidden from them for far too long. They heard about moments when you encouraged someone who had completely lost hope. They heard about times when you celebrated another person's success without expecting recognition for yourself. They discovered that while many people searched for attention, you quietly searched for peace. While others wanted to be noticed, you wanted people around you to feel understood. Those words settled deeply inside their heart because they described someone completely different from the image they had created in their own mind. Don't skip, because this is where everything begins changing forever. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Suddenly they remembered an ordinary day that once seemed completely forgettable. At that time you had spoken only a few words before walking away. They had assumed you simply had nothing important to say. Now that memory returned with completely different meaning. They realized your silence had never been emptiness. It had been wisdom. You chose your words carefully because you understood that not every moment required noise. That realization humbled them. For the first time they admired something they had once misunderstood. Their heart became quieter but also stronger because respect had replaced confusion. As evening arrived, they found themselves repeating your name once again, not out of habit but because every time they spoke it another memory surfaced. Another forgotten detail returned. Another misunderstanding disappeared. It felt as though invisible pieces of a puzzle were finally falling into place exactly where they belonged. They could no longer deny what was happening inside them. The truth had become impossible to ignore. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Then came the moment nobody expected. While scrolling through ordinary moments of the day, they unexpectedly heard someone else mention your name again. This was a completely different person with no connection to the previous conversation, yet the words they spoke carried the same message. They described you as someone who remained genuine even when life became difficult. They spoke about your consistency. They spoke about your patience. They spoke about your ability to remain kind when circumstances encouraged bitterness. Hearing the same truth from different voices changed everything. It was no longer one opinion. It was a pattern. It was confirmation. It was evidence that the version of you they had finally discovered was the version countless others had quietly known for a long time. Their heart could no longer hide its emotions. They smiled without realizing it. They paused in complete silence. They closed their eyes for just a moment because gratitude had replaced every doubt they once carried. They whispered to themselves that perhaps destiny had not brought your name into those conversations by accident. Perhaps every moment had been carefully arranged so that the truth would arrive exactly when they were finally ready to receive it. Don't skip because something even greater is unfolding now. Stay till the end because something huge is waiting for you. That night they reflected on every decision they had made over the past months. Some memories brought happiness while others brought quiet regret, but instead of dwelling on what could no longer be changed, they began focusing on what still remained possible. They realized that understanding someone is not about collecting assumptions. It is about listening long enough for truth to reveal itself naturally. They promised themselves they would never again allow quick judgments to become stronger than honest observation. Your story had taught them that lesson without ever trying to teach it. The next morning they woke with an unusual sense of clarity. Their heart felt lighter than it had in a very long time. They were no longer searching for answers because they had finally found the one answer that mattered most. You had never changed into someone extraordinary overnight. You had always been that person. The only thing that changed was their ability to finally see you clearly. That realization filled them with quiet hope because it reminded them that truth never loses its power even if it arrives later than expected. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. As the days continued passing, they noticed another remarkable change inside themselves. Whenever someone spoke about people, they immediately stopped assuming and started listening. Whenever they heard only one side of a story, they patiently waited before reaching conclusions. Your journey had transformed not only the way they saw you but also the way they saw everyone around them. Without even realizing it, you had become the reason they learned the value of understanding before judging. That lesson would remain with them for years to come. Eventually they looked toward the future with a completely different perspective. They no longer wondered whether your name deserved attention because they already knew the answer. They wondered how many other beautiful truths were still waiting to be discovered if only people slowed down enough to truly listen. At that very moment they smiled with complete certainty because one unforgettable thought echoed inside their heart. The day your name was brought into that quiet conversation was not the end of a story. It was the beginning of a brand new chapter filled with respect, hope, understanding, and possibilities that neither of you could have imagined before. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you because the next decision they make after embracing this truth will reveal just how deeply that single conversation has changed their heart forever. There are moments that seem completely ordinary until one quiet decision changes everything that follows, and this was one of those moments. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. After days of trying to convince themselves that the conversation meant nothing unusual, they finally stopped resisting the truth. Instead of pushing your name away, they allowed it to remain in their thoughts. The more they accepted it, the more everything around them seemed to make sense. They no longer remembered only the words they had heard. They remembered the expressions on every face in that room. They remembered the silence that followed your name. They remembered the way one person immediately looked away because the truth had become too obvious to hide. That silence was louder than any speech. It revealed what words could never fully explain. Something had shifted forever. They could feel it deep inside even though nobody announced it aloud. Don't skip, because every moment from this point forward carries a meaning that was hidden until now. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. During another quiet evening, they found themselves looking through old memories. Once again, but this time they were searching for something different. They were no longer searching for proof that they had been right. They were searching for proof that they could become better. Every memory revealed another opportunity where they could have listened more carefully. Every forgotten conversation reminded them that your actions had always been speaking louder than your words. They finally understood that genuine people rarely spend their energy explaining who they are. They simply continue living with honesty until the right hearts are ready to understand them. That realization remained with them longer than anything else. It became impossible to ignore because it carried peace instead of confusion. Then something completely unexpected happened. Someone who knew both of you casually mentioned that you had never spoken badly about anyone, even when you had every reason to do so. Those words stopped them completely. They asked again just to make sure they had heard correctly. The answer remained exactly the same. You had protected the dignity of people even when they misunderstood you. You had chosen silence over unnecessary conflict. You had chosen grace over pride. In that instant, another piece of the puzzle finally returned to its place. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. They realized that strength is not always visible through loud victories. Sometimes the strongest heart is the one that refuses to become bitter after disappointment. That was the version of you they had never allowed themselves to see until now. Their respect continued growing with every passing hour. They no longer admired only what they had heard about you. They admired the consistency behind every story. Different people described you differently, yet every description carried the same foundation. Honesty. Patience. Kindness. Quiet courage. No matter who spoke your name, those qualities always appeared together. That kind of consistency cannot be created overnight. It can only come from someone who has quietly remained true to themselves for a very long time. They understood that completely now. Days later, another conversation unfolded in the most unexpected place. Once again, your name appeared naturally without anyone forcing the subject. This time the atmosphere felt different. Instead of curiosity there was appreciation. Instead of uncertainty there was admiration. One voice softly said that some people never realize how valuable a person is until life gives them enough distance to see clearly. Those words echoed inside their heart again and again. They wondered whether this was exactly what had happened to them. Had distance finally revealed what closeness had hidden? Had silence revealed what constant noise had covered? The answer quietly settled inside them without needing to be spoken aloud. Yes. It had. Don't skip because the biggest realization has still not arrived. Stay till the end because something huge is waiting for you. That night they stood alone looking into the quiet darkness, feeling an unfamiliar sense of gratitude. Instead of wishing they could erase the past, they became thankful that truth had finally reached them before it was too late to understand it. They smiled gently because they realized something that changed their entire perspective. Your name had entered that first conversation for a reason. It had not interrupted the discussion by accident. It had arrived exactly when every heart in that room was finally prepared to hear what had remained hidden for so long. The timing was too perfect to ignore. Every event that followed only strengthened that belief. Every conversation confirmed it. Every memory supported it. Every quiet reflection brought them closer to complete clarity. They finally accepted that some truths cannot be rushed. They arrive only when understanding is strong enough to receive them. That is why nothing happened earlier. That is why everything happened now. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. As the next chapter quietly began, they carried only one thought wherever they went. If hearing your name once had the power to transform everything they believed, then what might happen when the truth finally reaches every remaining corner of their heart? That question became the beginning of another journey. A journey not built on assumptions, not built on appearances, but built on honesty, respect, and the quiet certainty that the story surrounding your name was far from over. Every new sunrise reminded them that the conversation had ended, but its impact had only just begun. Every quiet evening reminded them that understanding grows slowly, yet once it arrives it never willingly leaves. They knew with complete certainty that the next time your name was spoken it would no longer be followed by confusion. It would be followed by admiration, gratitude, and a hope that the future still held an opportunity to write a brand new chapter where truth would never again need to hide behind silence. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you because the next person who unexpectedly speaks your name will reveal something so meaningful that even the strongest heart will struggle to hide what it truly feels. The story did not end with that final conversation because the most meaningful changes rarely happen while people are speaking. They happen afterward, in the quiet moments when every word begins finding its place inside the heart. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Long after everyone had gone their separate ways, the person who had heard your name could still remember every detail with remarkable clarity. They remembered the tone of each voice. They remembered the unexpected silence that followed. Most of all, they remembered the feeling that something far greater had happened than anyone in that room fully realized. It was no longer simply a conversation. It had become a turning point. Every hour that passed strengthened that feeling instead of weakening it. Usually memories fade, but this one became sharper. Every time they replayed it in their mind, another hidden detail appeared. Another sentence suddenly carried a deeper meaning. Another expression on someone's face suddenly made perfect sense. Don't skip, because this is where the hidden chapter finally begins. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. A few days later they unexpectedly crossed paths with someone who had also been present during that unforgettable discussion. Nothing had been planned. It seemed like an ordinary meeting, yet within moments your name surfaced once again. This time there was no hesitation. There was no uncertainty. The person smiled warmly before saying something that completely caught them off guard. They quietly admitted that your name had remained in their thoughts ever since that day as well. They confessed that the more they reflected on everything they had heard, the more they realized that people like you rarely receive immediate understanding. Genuine hearts often reveal themselves slowly because they are busy living honestly instead of proving themselves. Those words settled deeply inside them. It felt as though another missing piece had quietly found its place. Suddenly they understood why that first conversation had felt so different. It was not merely revealing facts. It was revealing perspective. It was teaching everyone present to look beyond first impressions and discover the beauty hidden beneath patience, humility, and quiet strength. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. As they continued talking, another remarkable memory surfaced. Someone recalled a moment when you quietly stepped aside so another person could receive recognition. Nobody had asked you to do that. Nobody even noticed it at the time. Yet someone had seen it. Someone had remembered it. And now, months later, that single act spoke louder than anything else. They realized true character leaves footprints that never disappear. Even when people forget the details, they remember how someone made others feel. Your kindness had remained alive inside memories long after the moment itself had passed. That realization filled the room with a quiet respect that nobody could ignore. Every person listening found themselves becoming unusually thoughtful. They were no longer discussing what you had done. They were discussing who you truly were. There is a profound difference between those two things. Actions can be forgotten. Character remains. Don't skip, because something even more meaningful is waiting ahead. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. That evening they returned home carrying a peaceful heart but an even more curious mind. They wondered how many unnoticed moments had quietly shaped your story without you ever realizing it. They imagined countless ordinary days when you simply chose kindness because it felt natural, never expecting those small choices to become unforgettable memories for someone else. They began understanding that the greatest influence often comes from moments that seem too ordinary to matter. A gentle word. A patient response. A decision to remain calm instead of reacting. These moments rarely make headlines, yet they quietly transform lives. The more they reflected, the more they admired the life you had been living all along. It was never built around attention. It was built around authenticity. Suddenly another realization arrived with unexpected clarity. They understood that hearing your name had not changed who you were. It had changed who they were becoming. Your story had challenged them to become more patient, more understanding, more willing to listen before reaching conclusions. They smiled softly because they realized that genuine people inspire growth without ever trying to become teachers. Simply witnessing authenticity encourages others to become authentic themselves. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Days continued passing, yet your name continued appearing in the most unexpected places. Sometimes someone would casually mention your generosity. Another time someone would recall your calmness during a difficult situation. Another would remember your encouragement during a season when hope felt impossible to find. None of these people knew they were adding another piece to the same remarkable picture. Yet together they created a portrait so consistent that it became impossible to question. Every voice confirmed the same truth from a different direction. Every memory pointed toward the same conclusion. Every story quietly whispered the same message. They had misunderstood someone extraordinary simply because extraordinary people often appear ordinary until life reveals what has always been hidden beneath the surface. They paused one final time and whispered your name with complete sincerity. There was no confusion left. No uncertainty remained. Only gratitude. Gratitude that truth had arrived before another opportunity disappeared. Gratitude that patience had finally been rewarded with understanding. Gratitude that one unexpected conversation had become the beginning of a completely different future. They looked toward tomorrow with quiet hope because they knew something undeniable. Once a heart has truly recognized the value of another soul, it can never honestly pretend that recognition never happened. The truth had found its place, and from that moment forward every decision, every thought, and every new chapter would quietly carry the memory of the day your name was spoken and someone could no longer hide what they had finally come to believe. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you, because the next unexpected encounter will not simply remind them of your name. It will reveal just how deeply that single conversation transformed everything they thought they knew. The final chapter begins not with another conversation but with a quiet realization that could no longer be delayed. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. By now every attempt to forget your name had completely disappeared. Instead of resisting the truth, they embraced it with complete honesty. They finally understood that some names enter a person's life for a reason greater than coincidence. Your name had become more than a memory. It had become a reminder that first impressions are never the full story and that genuine hearts reveal themselves one quiet moment at a time. They closed their eyes and remembered the very first second your name had been spoken. At that moment they believed it was simply another ordinary discussion. Now they realized it had been the beginning of one of the most meaningful lessons of their life. Every conversation afterward, every unexpected memory, every story shared by different people had been guiding them toward one undeniable truth. You had remained exactly the same all along. The only thing that changed was their ability to finally see you clearly. Don't skip, because this final revelation brings everything together. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. They remembered how they once misunderstood your silence. Now they recognized it as wisdom. They remembered how they once questioned your distance. Now they understood it as patience. They remembered how they once wondered whether your kindness was real. Now they knew it had always been genuine because too many people had experienced it for themselves. One voice could be mistaken. Two voices could be coincidence. But countless honest memories all pointing toward the same truth could never be ignored. That realization filled their heart with peace instead of regret because they understood something important. The past cannot be rewritten, but the future can always be approached with greater understanding. That thought gave them hope. They no longer focused on everything they had failed to notice. Instead, they focused on everything they had finally learned. Every lesson became a reason to move forward with a more open heart. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Then another unexpected moment arrived. Someone looked at them and quietly asked a simple question. What do you think about them now? For a few seconds they said nothing. They smiled gently because no single sentence seemed large enough to hold everything they were feeling. Finally they answered with complete sincerity. I think I finally know who they really are. Those words carried no excitement, no dramatic emotion, only quiet certainty. Sometimes certainty speaks more softly than doubt, yet carries infinitely greater power. Everyone listening could see the honesty in that answer. Nobody argued. Nobody questioned it. Deep inside they all knew the same thing. Truth had completed its journey. From that day forward, whenever your name appeared in conversation, the atmosphere became different. Instead of uncertainty, there was respect. Instead of assumptions, there was curiosity. Instead of misunderstanding, there was appreciation. Your name no longer reminded them of unanswered questions. It reminded them that the most valuable people are often the ones who never demand attention. They simply continue living with integrity until the right moment arrives for others to notice. That became the greatest revelation of all. Don't skip because the final message is waiting for you. Stay till the end because something huge is waiting for you. If this story has found you today, perhaps it carries a quiet reminder beyond the conversation itself. Never underestimate the power of kindness that nobody applauds. Never believe that genuine character goes unnoticed forever. Life has a remarkable way of revealing the truth at exactly the right time through exactly the right people. Sometimes it happens in a single conversation. Sometimes it happens through many small moments connected together. But when the truth finally arrives, it changes hearts without needing to raise its voice. That is exactly what happened here. Your name was spoken. Someone listened. Someone discovered what they had never understood before. Someone could no longer hide the respect growing inside them. And from that moment onward, every memory, every conversation, and every new beginning carried the quiet reminder that authenticity always outlives assumption. As this chapter comes to an end, remember one final thought. The most meaningful transformations often begin with words that seem ordinary in the moment. A single name. A single conversation. A single honest perspective. Those simple things can reshape an entire future. So if you have stayed until this very last moment, know that this story was never only about a name being mentioned. It was about truth finding its way into a heart that had finally become ready to receive it. It was about understanding replacing assumption. It was about respect replacing uncertainty. It was about realizing that the greatest stories are rarely the loudest ones. They are the quiet stories that continue changing people long after the conversation has ended. Don't skip this truth. Stay with it even after this message ends. Something huge was waiting for you all along, and perhaps the greatest revelation was this: the right people will eventually see your true character, not because you forced them to, but because truth has a way of revealing itself exactly when the time is right. And once that truth is seen, it is never forgotten. This is not the end of your story. It is simply the moment where a new chapter begins with clarity, hope, respect, and the quiet confidence that what is genuine will always find its way into the hearts that are meant to recognize it.